welcome to Hot Talk, a weekly programme where we aim to give you, our viewers, the hottest news story of the week. This week I'm joined by Nika and Elise. A hot topic of this week is, with a new study from King's College suggesting potent cannabis, aka known as skunk, can increase the risk of psychosis, schizophrenia and brain development in young people. Meanwhile, across the pond, the US government passes new drug laws which will legalise medical marijuana under federal law across the country. Last year, California made history with the legalisation of weed. So the question I put to the panel is the UK government justified in its hard stance against weed? Elise?
In my opinion, I don't feel that it's justified. I feel like there are other instances where time would be better spent prosecuting people. For example, I don't feel like weed actually has much of a negative effect on society as things such as alcohol. I feel like drinking too much actually does have a much worse effect on people that smoke weed now and again. And I feel like the government isn't justified. They should look at cases and countries where it is legal and see how their crime rates have gone down, see how their society has settled into it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's such a big deal that people are making it out to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a new study which says recreational use of cannabis can actually cause abnormalities within the brain, affecting your IQ for life, and also damage areas in the brain which regulate emotion and motivation. So, Nika, what is your point of view from that?
I would say that there is science that have proved that when you smoke marijuana, you release neurochemical called dopamine, which starts to make people a bit more creative or are euphoric and a calm sense, and also closes down the inner editor, which makes it easier for people who write or brainstorm. So it could be a greater input to their creative work. Also, if we're going to talk about artists that have been using a lot of marijuana or other drugs, for example, Steve Jobs, when he talks about that smoking marijuana made him more relaxed and more creative. And today we are using so many different artistic materials made by him. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a study that actually says that weed is 114 times less deadly than alcohol, and obviously in the UK alone we have 40,000 deaths from alcohol a year. So why do you think, with that being said, things like alcohol and tobacco are obviously legal, you can buy them, whereas marijuana isn't? What do you think?
I guess it's one of those things where smoking weed's more of like a hush-hush. It's more, because it is illegal, it's like a sneaky thing to do, whereas we have pubs, you can go drinking, you can buy cigarettes from shops. That's not abnormal, that's not weird.
Yeah.
But the people that do smoke it shouldn't be prosecuted for it, because I don't feel like it's not a massive deal compared to problems that other drugs cause.
Yeah, well, I mean, last year 2 million people smoked weed. So, I mean, Nika, what do you think about that?
I think there is a lot of people smoking, actually, and I know a lot of poets and writers that smokes weed, and that helps them to actually be more creative and do a very good job. And I think they should, if it's legal, then they don't feel like criminals doing it. Mm-hmm. And once upon a time, there was alcohol was also illegal. So I think it's just a process that we're going through. Yeah. And they're a bit afraid to legalize it, because they are afraid that heavier drugs are going to come into the society as well. So...
yeah, they say like cannabis is the starter drug, and if you get into that, then that can lead to you getting into heavier stuff.
Yeah.
But it just depends on the person, entirely depends on the person. If you've got an addictive personality, maybe you can't handle things like that.
Nick Clegg has actually said that Liders want to bring in legalisation and decriminalise weed. So instead of those being found with the drug being convicted, they will actually send you to like a rehab facility. So do you think legalisation of the drug in the UK would cause more harm than it would good, or vice versa?
I think it would be more good, because of the fact that people that are using it will not feel like they're doing any kind of criminal act, and I think that is good for mentality of the people, because people are smoking regardless. So I think that in the way that we found a way to build a society where alcohol is legal, we can find the same way to make marijuana legal and just continue the society.
Yeah,
I agree.
To pick up from your point about the stigma, there are obviously many medical benefits from it. So people who have glaucoma, epilepsy sufferers, people experiencing decreased lung function, cancer, and even studies now suggesting people who have Alzheimer's can actually slow the progress of the disease. So why do you think there is such a stigma against the drug and these benefits aren't really spoken about?
The people that don't want people to smoke it aren't going to be like, yeah, it's good for you now, you can smoke it. Like, because people, obviously, they don't want it, that's why it's illegal. For example, I have a friend from college, he, from Boston, he got medical marijuana because he couldn't eat properly and it helped him to eat, obviously, it makes you hungry.
Yeah.
He moved here and his parents were getting it for him on the sly and they got prosecuted for it. But it helped him. And I think people ignore the fact that there are loads of medical benefits from it.
Even though people obviously use the drug recreationally, it has been known to have damaging effects to people's mental state, so affecting people's IQ, brain abnormalities, causing schizophrenia and things like that. So do you not think maybe just because the drug does have some benefits to it, people maybe need to be more aware or be more cautious about the negatives?
No, 100%. For example, I have a friend who, we were 15, she went to smoke weed for the first time, and ever since then she's had anxiety problems, she can't go on tubes, it's really messed her up. So from that point of view, I really can see how it does affect people.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, I think it just depends. If you feel like it does affect you negatively, stay away from it. You don't have to smoke it, you know?
Yeah.
But I think people should be made more aware of it because obviously it does have mental disadvantages. But I think that should be spoke about more.
I mean, there is some negativity using smoking weed as well, but that's why it's so important to legalize it, because then we can actually talk about it more freely and put up education around it, because it is at the end a personal choice.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with alcohol. Everyone can't drink, and it does cause damages in your brain if you drink alcohol. So I don't think marijuana is that different, if not even better for the human being. There has been some sciences around that it makes people a bit more slow, a bit lazy, but once again, it's a personal choice.
Yeah. Great. That's all we've got time for this week. Make sure to join us next week for our end of series election special.